Imagine yourself behind the wheel of a car in the middle of a nighttime downpour. Rain pounds against the windshield, visibility is nearly zero, and ahead of you stretches a traffic jam of hundreds of cars. You can scream at the sky, curse the weather, snap your fingers pleading for the cars ahead to move faster, but the only thing truly in your hands is the decision to stay calm, turn on your hazard lights, and wait for the storm to subside. This simple picture reflects one of the deepest truths of human existence. We live in a constant illusion of control over a world that is actually impossible to control. And this very illusion becomes the source of most of our suffering. Every morning we wake up with a list of plans, expectations, and demands on reality. We want our partner to behave exactly as we need them to. We expect children to be obedient, bosses to be fair, and neighbors to be quiet. We plan careers as if the economy won't change, and build relationships as if the people around us are programmed robots meant to fulfill our desires. But life doesn't ask for our consent. It simply happens. And when our expectations crash against reality, we begin fighting windmills, spending energy trying to change what cannot be changed. The ancient Stoics understood this trap of human psychology better than modern psychotherapists. Epictetus, a former slave who experienced true helplessness firsthand, formulated a principle that can revolutionarily change your life. There are things we control and things we don't control, and all wisdom lies in learning to distinguish between them. Think about the past week of your life. How much time did you spend worrying about your manager making strange decisions? How much energy went into outrage over the political situation in your country? Or, how many nerves did you waste trying to convince a close person to change their behavior? All that energy, it could have gone towards something truly important, toward what's actually in your hands, toward your reaction, your decisions, your actions today. There's one simple exercise that can change your life in a matter of weeks. Every morning when you wake up and thoughts start swarming in your head, ask yourself, what is in my hands today? Not what do I want to happen, not what am I worried about, but specifically, what can I control? You can control your reaction to a cashier's rudeness at the supermarket, but you can't make them smile. You can choose how to spend your evening after a difficult day, but you can't change the fact that the day was difficult. You can decide what to say to your partner during an argument, but you can't control their response. Sounds simple? On paper, yes. In life, this is one of the most difficult skills a person can master, because we're used to living in what-if mode. What if I had been born into a different family? What if my boss was smarter? What if my parents had given me a better education? These what-ifs are thin threads by which we tie ourselves to the past and future, forgetting about the only thing that truly exists, this moment, about the choice that needs to be made right now. Let's consider a concrete example. Imagine you've lost your job. The typical reaction is to fall into depression, blame the economy, management, the unfairness of the world. You could spend months replaying revenge scenarios in your head or feeling sorry for yourself. But what do you actually control in this? You control how you use the time that has been freed up, the decision to learn something new or look for opportunities you hadn't thought of before, the choice to view job loss as a catastrophe or as a chance to rethink your path. You don't control the economic situation in the country, your former management's decisions, or the speed at which employers respond to your resumes. Here lies the real magic of Stoic thinking. When you stop spending energy fighting the uncontrollable, you discover an incredible amount of strength for what you can actually change. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the master of your inner world. Remember the people you respect most. They're probably those who don't lose their composure in difficult situations, who find solutions where others see only problems. Such people aren't born with a special resilience gene. They've simply learned to distinguish what is subject to their will from what doesn't depend on their will. There exists a paradox that seems absurd at first glance. True freedom can only be found when you acknowledge the limits of your power. It's like music. The most beautiful melodies are born not from the chaos of limitless possibilities, but from the constraints of scale, rhythm, and structure. Epictetus, who traveled the path from slavery to philosophical wisdom, understood this better than many free people of his time. In chains, he discovered territory that no one could take from him, the space of his own choice regarding his attitude toward reality. When you finally accept what you cannot change about the past, you mysteriously free yourself from its burden. When you stop trying to control the future, it stops frightening you. And when you cease fighting what's beyond your influence, you suddenly discover that you have incredible power over the only thing that truly matters, over who you decide to be in each individual moment. Think about the happiest people you know. Are there many among them who constantly complain about politics, weather, ungrateful children, or an unfair boss? Hardly. Happy people have one common trait. They masterfully focus on what they can change, and are amazingly calm about everything else. This doesn't mean indifference or passivity. On the contrary, it's an active, conscious decision to invest your energy where it can bear real fruit. Instead of spending hours discussing how terrible everything around them is, they direct those hours toward improving their own health, relationships, and skills. The wisdom of the Stoics is more relevant today than ever, because our world has become even more unpredictable and chaotic. We receive thousands of stimuli daily for worrying about things we absolutely cannot control. News from different corners of the planet, thoughts of strangers on social media, economists' forecasts about events that may never happen. But there's also good news. The principle remains unchanged. You always have a choice: where to direct your attention, how to interpret events, what to answer, how to react. This choice is your inviolable territory of freedom that no external force can take away. The next time you feel frustrated that something isn't going according to plan, stop and ask yourself, what in this situation depends on me? This simple practice will gradually change your way of life. You'll stop being a toy in the hands of circumstances and become the author of your own story. And here's the most interesting part. When you finally stop fighting the uncontrollable and fully dedicate yourself to what's truly in your hands, the world around you mysteriously begins to become more harmonious, not because it has changed, but because you have changed. And a person who has found peace within themselves is capable of bringing that peace to the surrounding world as well.